Before we begin, do you believe Africa is at a turning point? Should new leaders rise while old ones rest? Should Africans move freely across the continent? Like, share, and comment your thoughts. You're watching See Africa TV, Africa's voice to the world. Africa is mourning, Africa is watching, and Africa is moving. From a former president's death to a 92-year-old seeking 8 more years, to a lawmaker jailed for defending African borders, and finally, one African country tearing down colonial visas. This is your full Africa update on See Africa TV. Story 1: Buhari's death, the end of an era. Nigeria is in mourning. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, aged 82, has died in a London clinic. He passed away on Sunday, July 13, 2025, after a long battle with health issues. Buhari had ruled Nigeria twice, first as a military head of state from 1983 to 1985, and later as a civilian president from 2015 to 2023. His funeral will take place in his hometown, Daura in Katsina State, on Tuesday, July 15th. President Bola Tinubu has declared a 7-day national mourning period, and flags will fly at half-mast across the country. World leaders have sent their condolences, from India's Prime Minister Modi to African Union leaders, hailing Buhari's anti-corruption fight, while critics recall his crackdown on dissent, frequent medical leaves, and economic missteps. A generation ends, but the debate over Buhari's legacy has just begun.
Military presence here until the body is interred. I said earlier that the distance between Katsina and Daura is about 1 hour, 20 minutes, and so it's going to be quite a drive once the airport ceremony ends between Katsina and Daura, where the interment will take place. We look very closely, you will see that President Bola Tinubu had already received the body and is walking behind the casket as they're wheeling it down the aisle there. It will be very serious and deep moment for him, having worked quite closely with President Muhammadu Buhari when he was in power. Even before he became president, his emergence as the president, Bola Tinubu, then he was just a former governor, played a very active part as the leader of the APC, newly formed APC then in 2015, and he's walking right behind the casket as it's being wheeled down the aisle there by extension, probably the African continent. He was the head of state of Nigeria between 1983 and 1985 as a military officer, and then
Story 2: Paul Biya seeks 8th term. While Nigeria buries a former president, Cameroon prepares to vote in another for the 8th time. President Paul Biya, the world's oldest sitting head of state at 92, has announced he will run again in October 2025. Biya has been in power since 1982, a staggering 43 years. His announcement came via social media, claiming insistent calls from all regions in the diaspora urged him to continue. But Cameroonians are divided. Opposition voices, including Maurice Kamto, Joshua Osei, and Cabral Libby, say it's time for Biya to rest. Even former allies like Issa Chiroma Bakari and Bello Buba Maigari have defected and are now contesting the presidency. With Biya having abolished term limits in 2008 and the last election marred by irregularities, many wonder, is Cameroon a democracy or a dynasty?
I swear before God and man to devote all your efforts to preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution and the laws of the United Republic of Cameroon, to watch over the common will of the nation, to uphold and defend the unity, integrity, and independence of the Cameroon fatherland. I do so swear.
I tell you, Paul Biya, if you go for 8th term, you will not finish that term. The opposition should come together, unify. Opposition will make a lot of sense, will make a lot of difference in Cameroon. So the Cameroon, they must, the opposition must stand firm, must ready, because there are external Western world that will be giving Paul Biya support, and Paul Biya will go for it that time to not finish it. He will die on the throne, and besides, Cameroon will turn upside down. Nothing will happen in Cameroon. Another person will be ruling Cameroon entirely. Notwithstanding, this is another very important message. I see that if care is not taken, I have seen military interception, military interference. I'm seeing a kind of a shutdown in Cameroon. I'm not saying Paul Biya there. So the opposition should intensify. They may come with different trick, but the point is they must intensify.
Storytho MP charged over border claims. Now, to Southern Africa. A Lesotho MP, Dr. Chepo Lefolo, has been charged with sedition and insulting the royal family after claiming the king had signed Lesotho over to South Africa. His remarks, made on social media and radio, declared Lesotho had effectively become South Africa's 10th province. He also proclaimed himself paramount chief of Basutoland, Lesotho's colonial name, and called for the return of vast South African territories like the Free State, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and more, all once home to the Basotho people. The charges against him include inciting public violence and violating the dignity of King Letsie III. His party, the Basotho Covenant Movement, holds only one seat in parliament, but his message resonates with a painful history of colonial-era border theft. The African Union's 1964 Cairo Declaration prevents redrawing colonial borders to avoid continent-wide chaos. But the people of Lesotho are asking, is history sacred or negotiable? Kenya removes visa requirements for Africans. Amid these political storms, a breath of fresh continental air, Kenya has officially removed visa requirements for Nigeria, all African countries, and most Caribbean nations. This means Africans can now travel to Kenya visa-free without even needing electronic travel authorization, except citizens from Libya and Somalia due to security concerns. President William Ruto's government says the goal is clear: to ease movement for travelers, investors, and Africans across borders. This move aligns with Kenya's broader 2025 travel reform agenda and comes as Nigeria also reviews its own visa-on-arrival policy. From business to tourism to education, this is a landmark step toward African integration. As other nations watch, one question rises: will the rest of Africa follow Kenya's lead, or will old borders continue to divide a rising people? Africa is changing. From farewells to old leaders, to uncertain political futures, to border dreams, and finally to continental unity, the winds of history are blowing once more across this continent. You've been watching See Africa TV, where we don't just report the news, we report African stories with purpose. This broadcast is based on publicly available reports and verified news sources. See Africa TV is committed to objective storytelling and does not endorse any political group, government, or candidate. Our mission is to inform, inspire, and amplify African voices.